It's nothing to do with ideologies or anything like that. Everybody agrees what we want for this country. We all want out of the EU. We all want out of Afghanistan and wars that got nothing to do with us. But until we get decent, sensible people running the parties, no nationalism in this country will never move forward. There's too many egos. Your mic, Johnny.
Right, Johnny, in a moment. Okay, admins, please lighten up, loosen up. Lighten up, loosen up. We said tonight that this room is open up. It's open up to the... Hell, I don't care if Waylon Bennett or Jerry Gable comes in here and speaks tonight. I really don't. Because I won't be listening to them. I'm listening to people like Johnny Dino, Advanced Ape and stuff like that. So please lighten up on some of the guys. And I don't know. Johnny, your mic.
Okay, I'm just going to say something as regards about Nick, Mr. Griffin. You know, I can understand people's loyalty to Mr. Griffin. If you don't know what's gone on in the party in the recent past, I can understand that. But I can tell you this from first-hand experience. I've spent an awful lot of time over in Dagenham during the general election, canvassing on the doorstep, not leafleting, but canvassing, speaking to people. And the common consensus on the doorstep was that people liked the BNP, but they didn't like Nick Griffin. They didn't like Nick Griffin at all, in matter of fact. We actually lost some votes because Nick Griffin actually stood in that constituency, believe it or not. That might find some people think that is astounding, but that is an absolute fact. Now, if Nick Griffin thought he was very popular, he would have stood in Oldham in the recent by-election, and he'd have stood in the Barnsley by-election. Nick knows that on the doorstep he's not popular. Nick's had massive exposure in the media. He's been on Question Time. He's had multiple opportunities to come out on top, and unfortunately, because of the baggage which he admits he has, he admits that openly, he's a spent force for the leadership of this movement. Nick's made a major contribution in the past. In the beginning, the BNP, you know, the first 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years of Nick being in charge, moved forward drastically. But at this present time, we are moving backwards quicker than we moved forwards. And as regards the membership, it is common knowledge that the membership nosedived last year. If you consider when we won those seats in the European elections, we gathered 4,000 or 5,000 new members. Once our election success never carried on over the following years, many of those people never renewed, unfortunately. That's a fact, and that's a sorry state of affairs in the party. Our party is in absolute financial crisis at the moment, and people should wake up to the fact that we need a new leadership with fresh internal democracy, financial transparency, and a fresh start, a fresh launch, a relaunch of the British National Party to show that we are genuine patriotic nationalists.
I think one of the mistakes, I think, is that when Nick Griffin was elected as an MEP, I think then he should have actually launched, say, a leadership challenge, so to speak, or at least resign as leader. I don't think he needs to do both. As to who would take it over or what, I don't know. Maybe it's tricky in that area, but either go into the EU, or when he was there for a year or a year and a half as an MEP, he could then have handed over that position to someone else in the BNP to take over the MEP position, and then he could have come back as leader in this country. That's another way he could have done it. I don't think he should be doing both. The other thing to bear in mind, of course, is Question Time. If Nick Griffin had had a fair say at Question Time, and they let him answer his questions, he probably could have just demolished all their arguments. But of course, he only said 8 words at maximum in one go, and I defy anyone to say anything and put a point of view across within 8 words before you get interrupted or slagged off or whatever it was. So it wasn't the proper Question Time as you would expect it to be. So you can't judge. I don't think you can judge Nick Griffin on that particular Question Time. What was there's one more thing I was going to say is I think Nick Griffin has taken the BNP as far as he could go, and he should have probably at some point when he was elected as MEP should have stepped down as leader and appointed someone else. May have been Simon Darby, I don't know, whoever, to take his place, or a leadership challenge or whatever. Let Simon Darby put his name up, some others. But at the end of the day, if you had a black man as the leader of the BNP, if he actually genuinely wanted Britain to be British for the British, he would be ridiculed and etc. by the media. So at the end of the day, is whoever's the leader, they're going to get very bad press. It doesn't matter if you haven't got any baggage, they'll make baggage up for you. Remember, always remember this. It is globalism versus nationalism. Globalists have the say, globalists have got the media, globalists have got the money. We're trying to just protect our one country, and every other country, I think, around the world are trying to protect their own country. As you can see, the rise of nationalism. The one thing I'll end on this by saying is that, strictly speaking, by now, the BNP should be in that last couple of elections we just had, or the one in Barnsley, we should have been somewhere on 18%, 18, 19% by now, not 6. Going from 8.5 down to 6, we should have been on about 18, 19%. So obviously something's not quite right. And I do believe there's many in the BNP, some very good people who've been sidelined, and some not so good ones have been like, being given positions where they probably shouldn't have them. That's what I think anyway, or paid positions that they shouldn't have them. And there's other good people that should probably have paid positions but haven't, and been sidelined or left.
Thank you for that, Bertie. I think that was excellent. Personally, I think the leader of any political party should have a fixed term, no longer than, I don't know, 5 years, 8 years, a date to be agreed on, so that they don't become old. They don't, not 3 years, not long enough. I'd say a maximum term of 5 years. I don't know, but a fixed term, so it's not leadership for life. But that's just my opinion. People mentioned Simon Darby as an alternative. Guys, we've got to be completely honest. Whatever comes out of this, or whatever comes out of anything in the future, is we must not have any more baggage leading us, people with baggage. And I'm afraid Simon Darby is now totally tainted by the nature of the fact that he had an affair with Shelley Rose. That'll never be lived down. That'll never be lived down. Some people have who didn't know that. So Simon Darby is out of the question. Also, I mean, I have information that I'm not going to make public, that would preclude Simon Darby as far as I'm concerned. What do we do about people like, I don't know, Jamestown, Paul Golding? Paul Golding was a very, very loyal man. I never had much to do with him. I don't know him really. But I was told he was loyal. James Dowson, who I have spoken to, I won't lie to you, I'll never lie to you, you have my word of honour on that. I've spoken to Jim Dowson, and he raised a lot of money, and he earned some money, but he's also put a lot of money back in to the party. Nick Griffin said himself that James Dowson saved the party. The regional organisers who saw the accounts admit that James Dowson saved the party. And yet we got rid of James Dowson and Paul Golding, who worked like a dog, and we replaced them with old friends of the chairman, who were not even party members. Jim Dowson wasn't a party member, but at least Jim Dowson was raising money for the party and increasing membership. He's still doing his bit for the party. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I can't. Again, I'm going back to my personal reasons why I'm opposed to the party, with Patrick Harrington advising the chairman. Nonak, you have the mic, sir.
Well, fixed-term leaderships would not be needed in a properly democratic, internally democratic party, because the leader would go when the membership think his time is right, and he should go. And that's how it should be. artificial self-made constraints are not necessary in a democratic party. Membership decide. Secondly, for all his faults, Nick Griffin can hold up to the acid test of a Paxman interview. He doesn't make stupid mistakes. He is articulate. He isn't lost for words. He doesn't get caught in media traps, and that's what the media is about. So whoever takes over from Griffin, and I do believe that I don't believe Nick Griffin will ever lead the BNP to power, so it will be somebody. But whoever it is, the most important thing is not how they relate internally, if we're interested in power and making progress politically, but how they relate externally. Are they going to be the people you can put on Newsnight? Because I can tell you something, if a leader makes a really stupid, silly mistake, that is going to be highlighted, magnified, rebroadcast time and time and time again. So it's very, very important, looking out to the rest of the world, looking at where all the bear traps and pitfalls are, that the leader is fit to face the world and the hostile media. Aside from Nick Griffin, I do not see anybody who I believe meets that criteria as we stand now. Over.
Okay, I'll come back in there first, Bertie. Okay, well, to be honest, like many of us here, I've cast around and I've thought, okay, what if something happened to the chairman? Believe it or not, I'd worried about the chairman's safety for many years, praying that, yeah, I've even said a prayer, keep him safe. And I thought, who could replace the chairman? We wrote an article about it. Where are our generals? It seemed to me that we had a great field marshal, but we had no generals to support him. And I haven't seen that individual yet, who I think is good enough to replace the chairman. Andrew Bronze possibly could have done it, but he's too old now. I don't know. It is up to people like you know, Knack, Dino, Advanced Ape, to get together and find this person, train this person. I don't know. All I do know is that we've done something different this evening, guys. We've got together and we've started to talk. Perhaps if we had had this conversation back last year, then we wouldn't be in a mess now. I know that the party's watching and monitoring this room. You all know. Our enemies are monitoring it. I bet it frightens them to see us talking. But perhaps the party, the chairman, would have understood the depth of feeling and earnings of the ordinary members had this room been available a couple of years ago. Lobby groups can be very powerful. Bertie, your mic.
I think one of the problems with the internet is you can only go by what you've read, and if you research it yourself, if you read it and just take someone's word at it, obviously you can go down the wrong road. But what was I going to actually say? I was going to say, I put my hand up for that. I can't remember now. But yeah, going back a year, I think it would have been very difficult for many of us to have been able to talk a year ago, GA. Because of differing ideas. Some were anti Nick Griffin, some were this, some were that, and then some were Butlerites, Mr. Butlerite, sorry. And at the end of the day, each one has their own ideas. Someone gets told a lie and follows it, thinking it's true, and I expect we've been lied to as well. And that's one of the problems, isn't it? Is really working out what is the lies and what is the truth. Now, as far as the UAF and that are concerned, of course, the UAF, they may well be sitting back and laughing, thinking, oh, the BNP's, falling to bits a bit or whatever. But, of course, now the UAF have now got another problem to worry about now. That's the EDL, of course. So now